So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome everybody. I'm Noam. I'm a professor here at Columbia Business School, and I'm the director of Citi. Let me just clarify that Citi here has no relationship with the other Citi. The big difference is that we don't get government support when we run out of money, although we have tried. Citi here is a research center on the economics, business, strategy, and policy of media and communications. It was the first at a major business school. It's been around for 30 years. We've done about 70 books, hundreds of conferences. We have perhaps 6 or 8 conferences a year, and about 15 or so smaller events. For example, we have about, next week we have something on the next generation of video. A month from now, we have a conference on new types of spectrum auctions, the economics and implementation issues of spectrum auctions around the world. So here we are talking today about mobile finance, mobile money, and I'm particularly grateful to Jason Buckwise, who's just walking up there, who's been holding things enormously together, Corey Spencer outside, and in particular Leon Perlman, who brought us all here together. Many of you know each other. I know some of you. Many of you, particularly those in the credit card business, know a lot about me. So I'm kind of glad that we will make this acquaintance today. It's the opening act. I want to welcome, of course, everybody and to thank everybody who made this possible, the speakers who came here, the people with ideas, and so on. But I also want to introduce parts of the topic, at least some of the things that I in the past have seen at conferences not particularly covered. Because usually what gets covered is implementation issues or those kind of the act that you've heard, which is there was many poor people, woe us, many poor people in poor countries had no banking. But now, second act, we have mobile finance, and once we get rid of the problems, the woe us again of the security and similar issues, we are on our way to a happy ending. That is all true, and it's important. But I also would like kind of to cover things that are not particularly covered, which is what happens. What happens if we get what we wish for? If, in fact, all of the world is financing, transacting in mobile ways. Because if it's not big, then it's not important. But if it is big and important, then we have to figure out what is the impact. It is traditionally in this area that people overestimate the short term and underestimate the long term. Things always take longer, they're more complicated to implement. But the aggregate impact might be much more than plasticless plastic. And so, in banking, for people who didn't have banking before. So take the macro aspects, and I will just talk 3 minutes about that. Monetary policy, that certainly affects us, and monetary policy has been around with its various tools for 100 years or more. And it is done through central banks, through the controls of interest rates, through the money supply, and so on. But now, and that has an important impact on the economy. Now, in this new environment, where is monetary policy and how will it be effective? The money supply is cash and checking accounts and savings accounts and time deposits, these big aggregates. Each one of these aggregates is going to be immediately affected in very fundamental ways by the transition to mobile money. The volume of cash changes, the ability to have more money in your checking it in your savings account means that banks can extend more credit. The velocity of money changes. There's money entirely outside of what we call money, outside of the traditional money supply. There's debit accounts that create new kind of money that is essentially outside of easy control of government. There will be private monies created, and global monies and private monies, and intelligence monies that bring technical progress to the boring commodity of money, money that can do things, money that, cash that pays interest, cash that can deposit itself, cash that can time its own spending, money that can earn discounts, that get frequent shopper miles, loyalty programs, all kinds of interesting, intelligent things that can be done. Smart money based on smart phones. Now, on top of it, so that's already a problem in the sense that governments don't quite control these monetary aggregates. On top of it, there's greater instability. Greater instability because money is created, e-money is created endogenously by economic activity, is therefore pro-cyclical and not anti-cyclical, which exacerbates instability. Similarly, money flows much more rapidly, not only among financial institutions, but also across financial centers, across countries. You can program your phone and that it kind of seeks the highest interest rate from one bank to another, from one country to another, and so there could be transfers of money of trillions of dollars within split seconds when interest rates change. That makes life harder and less stable. So we have, and on top of it, there are other things such as the issues of reserve requirements, of deposit insurance, and all kinds of things that we know how to deal with in the old system, but we have not quite figured out how to deal in a new system. So we have greater instability, but fewer effective tools to deal with it. Now, so far this seems a bit of a negative story, but it isn't. I'm a great enthusiast. In fact, I have personally a patent on some e-payment mechanism, and I can see that it gives, the new technology creates great opportunity. It creates the opportunity for central banks, if they're smart, to do things in a much less aggregated way, which is right now basically just dealing with a handful of banks, which in turn deal with kind of other banks, and so on, but rather to have a much more customized monetary policy, a customized policy that can deal with particular classes of financial institutions, particular classes of business customers, individual customers, types of transactions. So you could have kind of new approaches to controlling the velocity of spending and monetary and interest rates and so on that were before. So, to conclude that is we have smartphones, and smartphones create smart money and smart transactions. But they also enable people to do really dumb things, as well as smart things. And to deal with those dumb things, that is a responsibility for some governmental action. And so now the challenge is, in some ways, to establish smart next generation of macroeconomic policy to supplement the smart next generation of payment. Thank you very much. I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm sure that we will have a very exciting conference. And now, Leo.
Well, welcome everybody. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Jason and Corey, for assisting with logistics and organisation. And congratulations to you all for getting here on time and getting a cab. This time in the morning, New York, those New Yorkers will know that it's almost impossible to get a cab without running and stealing one from somebody. And navigating Fortress Columbia. So thank you very much for coming on time. There's still a lot of people who still going to come in. Okay, so the genesis of this event is probably around 2005. Everyone remembers I came along here in my early days of my doctoral research on mobile payments. I gave a little talk, and M-Pesa wasn't a verb as it is now, mobile money as it is in Swahili. The iPhone hadn't been invented. We had a wonderful discussion on where this would go, and quite frankly, nobody believed it would go anywhere. And a few years later, here we are, and there's a whole lot of acronyms that have entered the lexicon which we'll go into. So this is the third event on mobile payments that are organized here at CITI, and thank you to Eddie for seeing the future and helping organize this conference. So what we're going to discuss are new forms of payments which have evolved since my early days here. But really, the whole ecosystem is still relatively new. Those professionals here in the payments world, mobile world, we know we're still really at version 1, edging into version 2, and Money 2.0. We'll have a session right at the end on Money 2.0. So, just to put things in context, this is what we have here is a cross section of ecosystems. One from developing world, one from developed world, and the terminology can be different and they can be the same. And unfortunately, they can also be the same word but a different context depending on which ecosystem you're talking about. So these are some of the terms that you'll hear about: mobile money, mobile financial services, mobile wallets. That's probably something you've heard quite a bit of. Mobile banking, financial inclusion, M-Pesa, P2P, which is person to person, USSD, which is an arcane terminology for mobile network interoperability, payment rails, NFC, and cryptocurrency. So we're going to have a bit of a session on cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. So just keep that in mind, and the moderators I'll introduce now will extract that terminology if and when necessary. But let me just give you a quick primer. Mobile money is can be valued in a mobile account or wallet, mobile wallet. It can be offered by a bank, which is seen to be additive. It just adds to what the banks are already doing, or non-bank. So when a non-bank starts providing all these wonderful services, then we call it transformation. And usually a pre-funded account. So mobile financial services, use of a mobile phone to access financial services and execute financial transactions. So including transactional and non-transactional services. So in other words, paying. So it includes mobile banking and mobile payments, and enables in many contexts financial inclusion. So that's really a primer. And that leads me to the sessions today and the moderators. If you just acknowledge yourself, some of them aren't here yet. Our first panel session is Ulrike Brugge from Deloitte, who's going to talk on developed world payments. Ulrike, here we are. Charles Nias, the developing world. Charles, and he just arrived all the way from South Africa, so I'm sure you've suffered from a bit of jet lag. Thank you so much for coming. Charles is from the IFC. John Costa is going to talk about, that's John up there. He's also a payment expert, he's got Oriama Consulting. He's going to talk about retail payments, which is going to be a very interesting session, I think. Dixon Tao, who's not here yet, is going to talk about the investment component of everything. Dixon's from DC Advisors. On regulatory and security, there's Carol Van Cleef. Carol, let's see here. She's from Menard, Phelps and Phillips. And Money 2.0, which is going to talk about the future of money and cryptocurrencies there too. All these folks are clearly scrambling for a cab somewhere. Okay, so things to do today. If you could please put your phone on vibrate and silent. Learn. There's lots of learnings for the day. As I said, there's a cross-pollination of ecosystems. So if you come from the telecoms world, or from the payments world, or somewhere in between, you're certainly going to get a... Oh, I'm up. Network. So handshake, real networking, and also there's free Wi-Fi. So the hotspot is CBS guest. Please interact. Panelists, there'll be questions and answers afterwards. To your roving microphone. We are tweeting. The hashtag for today is Columpay. And have fun, and please join us for cocktails after the event. Okay. Now